would you mind if I squeeze in Arabian Nights Volume 3?
Absolutely, yeah.
Sure. This is the final part of the trilogy, Miguel Gomes. If you've been listening to the show for the last few weeks, you'll have heard us cover part 1 and 2, which we did all see. This is just, well, apparently it's just me who's seen it, because Joe's not here, and Ryan, he fell asleep.
Yeah,
did you see any of it?
I saw the first 10 and last 5 minutes.
Great.
So,
Fantastic. So this one is kind of a bit different. It starts off with Scheherazade, and because she's the one who tells the stories from the first 2, she is the idea is that she's going to get her head cut off if she doesn't tell these stories across 1,000 days and 1,000 nights. And it's normal in the first 2 it was voiceover, and in this one it's text on screen, so it's a lot more quiet of a film. So we spend the first maybe 30-40 minutes with Scheherazade, and she is very exasperated, and it kind of reflects on the kind of issues that the film talks about with Portugal and its crisis as a recurrent theme across the trilogy is Portugal and its problems. So once we've kind of got through all of that bit with Scheherazade, we meet some men, and they have chaffinches. What do they actually do with the chaffinches? Do they just look after them and like? Because they put them in competitions and stuff, don't they?
Yeah.
It's the singing, isn't it? Like to get the chaffinches to sing. And these are all people who kind of are affected by the Portuguese crisis and the impoverishment of Portugal. The thing about this one, the reason I don't like it quite as much is that it's bogged down by the whole chaffinches thing. It's a different film to the first 2 in so many ways. It's not as funny as such. Like the humour's a lot more dry in this one, and it's not as frequent. There's just so much chaffinches. There's everything is chaffinches. And it really bogs down to the point where it looks as if it's going to go on to a different sort of topic, and it's this Asian woman who's come across to America, and she's fallen in love, and she's found that she's pregnant. She had to get an abortion, and she can't because she's not Portuguese, and that's like really fascinating. And because you have that voiceover, and then you have this footage of riots in Portugal and police brutality and all that kind of stuff, and that is really interesting. And you kind of really want it to stay on that part, but then no. More chaffinches, and it just keeps going like that.
So what's the moral here?
I don't know. That's the thing. With the first 2, I can tell what the moral is. I understood the first 2. With this one, I really didn't, and that's. I think the first 2 work better. I think a lot of people do actually like the third one a lot more than the other 2. I'm not of that opinion.
Did the second installment, which was obviously a lot drier and had more the sort of darker tones than the first one, did that not sort of set up the third one?
Yeah, I mean it had to do something.
Obviously, I'll catch it during the week,
part,
and
yeah.
we'll talk about it next week. We'll do like a retrospective of the 3 together,
yeah,
as a whole when Joe gets back next week.
I understand that this one had to do something different to tie it all up, and I think in doing that it does succeed in some way, but it's not quite as entertaining. It's probably, like, now that I've seen all 3 parts, I'd quite like to watch them all together. Like we did as best as we could. We watched them like once a week. I think if we do it as it was intended and watch them all kind of very close together, like maybe a day apart, maybe even like in the same day, because some people have said it's best to watch them all like back to back, all 6 hours through it. I'd like to do it that way because this one did kind of lose me. I felt a bit lost in it. If you go on Letterboxd, which this week we did sign up to actually, LRJ Film Show on Letterboxd, and you can see what we've been watching. You can see all our reviews and stuff will all be going up very shortly. And someone's just put one that's just like, "Thank you for signing up to Finch Facts. You will now receive fun daily facts about chaffinches." It's just chaffinches. Seriously, cancel. Shut the hell up. But this review does make a good point. The on-screen text is at least funny. Like it is like the one kind of funny part of it, and I like the way the film ends. If you go on the podcast around this point, as we did last week, we'll put in more music that you won't hear on the radio, and we'll play the song that finishes the series. On a whole, I like Arabian Nights a lot, and we'll talk more about it next week when we've got like everyone on the same page. But this one didn't work quite as well for me as the other ones have. But we'll speak more about it next week.
Fair enough.
That's it.
Can I just say something that can't be argued about the quality of the films? The soundtrack.
Oh, wonderful!
It's an
really,
amazing
really
soundtrack.
Wonderful. So if you have seen Arabian Nights and you want to weigh in on the conversation, get in touch with us. We'll do all of this next week on the podcast. Tweet us LRJ Film Show or facebook.com/LRJ Film Show. And as always,
be careful what you Insta Google tweet paste.
You haven't actually played that for a while, have you?
No.
Welcome back, Woody.
But there you go. Woody's back on the show.